Yo, what is good YouTube? Dubs here, back with another video, guys. We have some more breaking news, highlights, notes, and observations from yet another day in Kansas City for another training camp period. Now, there are some things I want to go over, and don't worry because the pads are coming on sooner than you think. We're just probably a few days away from that, which is going to be exciting. But I'm going to break down a couple of the biggest guys and the biggest rumors and news and storylines that we saw from day 3 of the Kansas City Chiefs training camp period. However, before we get into all of that, I need you guys to do me a big favor and smash that like button. Let's even get the video up to 200 likes. As we see here, looks like Sky Moore continued to take some punt returns, a thing he lost a job for last year, but looks like he's going to be competing for that again this season. But make sure you guys also subscribe to the channel and join the family. I will be covering the entirety of the offseason, which includes the rest of free agency, any trades, any training camp videos like this. I'm going to put together all the highlights, and I'm going to talk over all the storylines of what happened on the day throughout the entirety of the offseason. So, and that's not just the Chiefs, that's all the NFL teams. So make sure you guys join the family, turn on post notifications so you're notified not only every time we post a video, but also every time we go live for a game, because I will be streaming games as well. But without any further ado, let's get into this video. Now, the Kansas City Chiefs had a couple of big things happen and a couple of big storylines of day 3. Now, the one thing I do want to start off by saying, it's a little bit negative, but Kadarius Toney did go down with a little bit of an injury. Not too sure the severity of it, but he did not play yesterday, and due to that, we saw a lot of guys step up. Now, the one guy that really looked good was Sky Moore. We saw him getting some punt returns, we saw him getting some big-time catches, so he looked good. He was running with the ones as well as MVS. Now, some other guys who have really stepped up in a guy right there, Rashee Rice. He caught some pretty big balls from Patrick Mahomes, and then there's two other guys who were making a name for themselves. One being Justin Ross, as we all know, didn't play at all last season, a guy who they're really high on, and he finally got to play, finally got some action in the day 3 of training camp, and he looked pretty good. They were actually very pleased with the way he played. And then one more wide receiver who really played well was Richie James. Obviously, a new wide receiver here, former Giant wide receiver who kind of had a good year last year, coming over here to Kansas City, where he is having, or building, I should say, some great chemistry with Patrick Mahomes, which is just the start of what could be something great here in Kansas City. Now, obviously, they have Justin Ross, Richie James, you've got, Sky Moore, MVS, Kadarius Toney. One of these 5 guys are going to have a great season, and it could be 3. It could be many of them. I think Sky Moore, in my opinion, could be really good. If Kadarius Toney can stay healthy, I think he could be incredibly good. But I'm really high on Justin Ross. I'm really high on Rashee Rice. So let me know in the comment section down below, who do you think will primarily break out at wide receiver for the Chiefs next season? Those are the 5 guys that really stood out to me and most of the reporters in day 1 or day 3, I should say, of training camp. But we're going to know a lot more once the pads are, back on, or not back on, but get on for the first time. So that will be something to watch out for over the next few days and next few weeks here. But another thing I want to talk about is Chris Jones, man. Looks like he's going to be holding out. Don't expect to see him unless they come up with a contract extension. We'll see how that works, if that, happens relatively soon. But other than that, I mean, not a bad first couple of days here for training camp for the Chiefs. The offense looks really good. They're really starting to build chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. A lot of balls over the middle to or down the sideline to Sky Moore. You're seeing Rashee Rice get used over the middle. But overall, it's been a good couple of days for the offense for Kansas City. We'll see if the defense can start picking things up, and if Chris Jones ends up coming back and getting a deal done. That is something we really got to, kind of look forward to, because if they don't end up signing him to a deal, then there's going to be some question marks along that defensive line. Who's going to step up on the D-line? Who's going to step up in the middle of the defense? Like, we're going to see what happens, but so far, so good for the offense. Isaiah Pacheco also still has that non-contact jersey on. We'll look to see how that, ends up going over the next few weeks. But I expect that to be off sooner rather than later. Pacheco is a guy who broke out last season. I continue to think he's going to do it. And there you go right there. 2 back-to-back catches for Sky Moore. Like I said, comment down below who is somebody you think can break out for the Chiefs next season. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Join the family. Turn on post notifications, because I will be covering the entirety of the offseason. Make sure you guys are here. And also, comment down below, what do you think the Chiefs' record will be this season, and do you think they can go back-to-back in the Super Bowl? With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Today's video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, and if you love playing fantasy sports like football, basketball, baseball, and so many other sports, but also love being able to win money, you're going to want to stick around for this whole segment. Introducing Underdog Fantasy, the ultimate platform for fantasy sports lovers. Do you want to experience the thrill of drafting your team and competing for huge prizes? Well, look no further. With Underdog Fantasy, you get access to a wide range of fantasy sports, including football, basketball, baseball, and so much more. But here's what makes Underdog Fantasy stand out from all of those other apps. They've got quick and user-friendly drafting process, a unique and exciting game formats, fair and competitive contests for all skill levels, and attractive bonuses and promotions. Not only can you draft teams and compete with others, but you can also play a game of higher and lower, which is personally my favorite thing to do on there, but you can potentially win 20 times the money you put down. And if you use code MattyDubs when you sign up, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. And what that means is basically when you deposit, let's say $100, they'll give you a free $100 to use and play with. Click the link in the description to get started, or head to the website right now to start dominating the fantasy world. And don't miss out on all the fun. Be a part of the Underdog community starting now. And don't forget, if you use code MattyDubs, they'll match your first deposit up to $100. Let's get started. Get into drafts with me starting today.